Oil pastels are often treated like beginner art supplies, but they're way more powerful than they look. They're bold, creamy, blendable, and can act like both a drawing tool and a painting medium, with almost no setup. No water, no brushes, no drying time. Just color, pressure, layering, and texture. So today, we're going to look at oil pastels as more than just fancy crayons. In this episode, we're breaking down what oil pastels are, the types you'll commonly see, the tools and paper that help, and the techniques artists use to create rich, painterly effects. Oil pastels are made from pigment mixed with wax and non-drying oil. That combination gives them their soft, creamy texture and intense color. They can be layered, blended, scratched into, and build up with thick texture. That's why oil pastels sit somewhere between drawing and painting. Oil pastels are actually a fairly modern medium. They were first developed in Japan in the 1920s by Sakura Crepa as a colorful, easy-to-use material for students and children. But later, in 1949, Henri Sennelier created a professional-grade oil pastel at the request of Pablo Picasso. Picasso wanted something portable and direct, but with the color intensity and painterly possibilities of oil paint. So oil pastels have always had this interesting split identity. They're simple enough for young students, but also capable of sophisticated professional results. Oil pastels are usually divided into three general categories: scholastic, student, and professional grade. I'll demonstrate all of these as well as a water-soluble example. Scholastic oil pastels are the most affordable and are usually designed for younger students or classroom settings. They tend to be harder, waxier, and less vibrant than higher-grade oil pastels. That does not mean they're useless. They're great for introducing the medium, especially in schools, but they may not blend as smoothly or layer as richly as more expensive versions. Student-grade oil pastels are a step up. They usually have better color, softer application, and more blending ability, but they're still affordable enough for beginners, hobbyists, and classroom use. This is probably the sweet spot for most people starting out. You can experiment with layering, blending, scumbling, and sgraffito without feeling like you're burning through extremely expensive supplies. Professional-grade oil pastels contain higher quality pigments and binders, and they are usually much softer, creamier, and more saturated. They blend beautifully and can create rich painterly effects, but they're also much more expensive. So my recommendation is this: start with what you have, learn the techniques first. Then, if you find yourself loving the medium, upgrade a few key colors and buy a small professional set later. Technique matters more than owning the fanciest supplies. Water-soluble oil pastels are creamy, pigment-rich drawing sticks that blend like traditional oil pastels but can be dissolved with water. Traditional oil pastels rely solely on waxes and non-drying oils, which repel water, while water-soluble versions contain an emulsifier that allows the pigments to break down and blend with water. Adding a wet brush turns the color into a translucent wash, allowing you to achieve beautiful watercolor effects, smooth gradients, and complex layered artwork. You can also dip the pastel directly into water and use it almost like a watercolor crayon. They generally feel slightly softer and apply more smoothly than classic oil pastels. I did a side-by-side comparison of all four types. While I did notice a difference in their texture as I applied them, visually, they all look pretty similar. The only ones that stood out as being different in texture and appearance were the water-soluble pastels, which was especially noticeable after I added water. Oil pastels are fairly direct. You can technically use them with nothing but paper, but a few extra tools make a huge difference. Oil pastels get messy fast. A paper towel or cloth is helpful for wiping your hands, cleaning the pastel sticks, softening marks, or keeping colors from contaminating one another. If your yellow pastel suddenly has blue smeared all over it, you can wipe it clean before using it again. Blending stumps help move pastel around in smaller areas where your fingers might be too large or messy. If you don't have a blending stump, you can use a cotton swab. They're especially useful for smoothing edges, blending small transitions, or softening areas without covering your hands in pastel. Now when it comes to blending, I prefer using a clay shaper tool. They can push, move, blend, and manipulate the pastel without absorbing it. They're great for small details, edges, and controlled blending. Some artists even drag the tip of a color shaper across the pastel stick and then apply that color to the artwork almost like a tiny painting tool. A wooden stick like a bamboo skewer or a toothpick can be used carefully for scraping, carving, and creating fine lines through layers of pastel. This is especially helpful for sgraffito, where you scratch through a top layer to reveal the color underneath. The wooden stick easily penetrates the waxy pigment without cutting or gouging your paper, which is often a risk with metal palette knives or craft blades. An oil pastel extender is a colorless, pigment-free oil pastel made of the same binder, wax and oils, as your colored pastels. You apply it over or alongside colors to spread pigment, create subtle color washes, and blend without muddying or dulling the hues. It is ideal for blending and building depth on paper, cardboard, canvas, or wood. Because oil pastels don't fully dry, finished work needs protection. A fixative can help reduce smudging, though oil pastel can be harder to fully protect than dry drawing media. Wax paper or glassine can also be placed over the artwork to prevent transfer when storing it. Wax paper is especially useful for sketchbooks, folders, or classroom storage. Paper matters a lot with oil pastels. Oil pastels need a surface with some tooth, meaning a textured surface that can grab onto the pastel. If the paper is too slick, the pastel may smear around instead of building up rich layers. Pastel paper is a great choice because it has texture built into the surface. It holds color better than smooth printer paper and gives you more control when layering and blending. Watercolor paper is another strong option. It's usually heavier, more durable, and textured enough to hold pastel. Cold press watercolor paper is especially useful because of its surface texture. Now that we've covered what oil pastels are and the tools that help control them, let's actually use them. The first technique is layering. Layering means applying one color over another to build depth, richness, and variation. With oil pastels, layering works best when you start lightly. If you press too hard right away, the surface can fill up quickly, and it becomes harder to add more color on top. So I'm starting with a light layer first. Then I add a second color. You can see that the colors begin to mix visually, but they don't completely disappear into each other. Layering is one of the most important oil pastel techniques because almost every finished drawing depends on gradually building color. Next is blending. Oil pastels blend very easily because of their wax and oil binder. You can blend by pressing colors together directly on the paper, using your finger, using a cotton swab, or using a blending stump or color shaper. Here I'm placing one color on one side and another color on the opposite side. Then I overlap them in the center. Now I'll use small circular motions to soften the transition. If I press harder, I get a smoother, richer blend. If I keep the pressure lighter, more of the paper texture shows through. Both effects are useful. It just depends on the look you want. Scumbling is a loose, broken application of color. Instead of filling an area completely, you let some of the paper and lower layers show through. This is great for rough textures, backgrounds, foliage, fruit skin, or any area where you don't want perfectly smooth blending. I'm using light pressure and letting the texture of the paper create variety in the mark. Scumbling can feel a little like scribbling, but when it's controlled, it creates beautiful texture. Stippling uses dots to build color or texture. With oil pastel, stippling can create a softer, more painterly texture than pen or graphite stippling because the dots are thicker and more colorful. You can use small dots for subtle texture or heavier dots for bold, decorative marks. For fruit, this can be useful for speckles, pores, or small color variations on the skin. Underpainting means starting with an initial layer of color that influences everything placed on top. Many artists utilize color theory concepts when creating an underpainting, like using a color's complement to create shadows instead of relying on black or gray. Here I've used the complementary pair purple and yellow to create kind of a lemon shape. With oil pastels, underpainting helps unify the final drawing because little bits of that first layer may show through. Glazing with oil pastel is a little different from glazing with paint because oil pastels are opaque and thick, but you can still create a glazing effect by lightly dragging one color over another. The key is pressure. I'm using very light pressure here so the second color sits on top without completely covering the first layer. This is useful when you want to shift the temperature of a color. For example, I can make an orange area feel warmer by lightly glazing over it. Or I can cool down a shadow by lightly glazing blue or purple. Impasto means thick raised texture. With oil pastels, this happens when you apply heavy pressure or build up a lot of material on the surface. You can use the side of the pastel for broad strokes or the tip for smaller textured marks. This can be a very painterly effect. It's what gives Van Gogh his signature style. It's bold, expressive, and tactile. Oil pastels are especially good for this because they naturally have a creamy consistency and can build up texture and depth. Sgraffito is one of the most fun oil pastel techniques. First, I apply one color. Then I cover it with a second color. Now I use a tool to scratch through the top layer and reveal the color underneath. You can use this for hair, grass, veins and leaves, texture on fruit, or fine highlights. This is one of the techniques that really shows how oil pastels are not just about blending, they're also about carving, scraping, and revealing. Now let's combine these techniques into a more finished drawing. Just like with colored pencils, I begin by creating a color swatch of all the colors I think I might use. I'm using Canson cold press watercolor paper for this drawing. Next, I create a very light sketch to map out all the major shapes. I'm using a yellow pastel instead of pencil because graphite can show through in your final drawing. I draw the outer shape of the fruit and the inner flesh. Next, I'll block in an underpainting. For the orange flesh, I'm starting with warm yellows and oranges, and eventually some red and pink. At this stage, I'm not worried about details. I'm just establishing the major color zones. Now I'll build layers. In the orange part of the papaya, I'm layering yellows, oranges, and reds to make the color feel richer. I begin blending the colors using white and peach pastels, as well as the colorless blender. I like to scumble the pastel to merge the pigments together. I occasionally use my wooden stylus to pick up stray pieces of pastel or scrape up areas I need to correct. Now I start to build up the seed area. The seeds are dark, glossy, and irregular, so I don't want them to look like perfect circles. I stipple in small marks and highlights, and I use sgraffito techniques to create separation between the shapes. I also use my clay shaper tool a lot throughout this area because the seeds are too small for my fingertips to be effective for blending. At this point, I take a quick break from the seeds to work on the outer skin and background. I wanted to get a glimpse of how the drawing was going to come together, and I needed a rest from the tedious nature of the seeds. I continue making my way across the seed area using a variety of browns, white, gray, and black pastels. I use the wooden stylus and clay shaper tool in tandem with the pastels to complete this area. Once all the seeds are in place, I go back and add a few highlights and shadows to make them a bit more dimensional. I finish the papaya's flesh by layering a bit more pastel and using the stylus to scrape in some of the veiny texture before turning my attention to the skin and background. I'm using a few different shades of green as well as white and peach to blend these colors. To create the shadow, I first apply a gray underpainting before layering light blue pastel on top. I use a sheet of scrap paper under my work as I fill in the edges of the paper to protect my black mat underneath. Then I add some white to push the contrast a bit more, and I'm finally ready to call this drawing done. So that's oil pastels. They may seem simple at first, but they're actually one of the most flexible media we've covered so far. Your challenge this week is to try at least 2 of these oil pastel techniques. Maybe blending and scumbling, or sgraffito and impasto, or maybe try a small fruit drawing of your own. Let me know in the comments which technique you enjoyed the most, and whether oil pastels feel more like drawing or painting to you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe, because in the next episode we're moving into chalk pastels, a medium that's softer, dustier, and very different from oil pastels. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Studio CC.